All right, we're back again. I decided to call this next video the grand video, re-summarize again, um, bottom line, what this glass bead game, Overman uh, idea of perfection is all about. So again, the glass bead game was a book written by Hermann Hesse um, back in 1943. Uh, the original title was The Magister Ludi, which stood for the Master of the Game, and it was about uh, a guy that went to a school that tried to synthesize, and the school tried to synthesize all of the greatest um, disciplines in the world, such as philosophy and music and science and arts and everything into one ultimate reality. So I've taken that idea and I've inducted about 250 people throughout history, and I've identified them as the most important people to have ever lived. And this is completely subjective by myself of who uh, contributed to my glass bead game in the most profound philosophical, metaphysical way. And all of this, ultimately, the goal of all of this is to create the ultimate perfect existence, as Friedrich Nietzsche talked about with his Overman. Um, and again, this is just my glass bead game. This is uh, really just for myself, the glorification for myself and my own enjoyment. This has nothing to do with politics or society or what other people should do or anything like that. So this is just my own private uh, video and grand video and glass bead game. Um, Given that, and I'm going to start down here. This board, and I know you probably can't read it, is just for my own notes. Um, the bottom line is, does God exist? And you do this analysis, or most people, I'm sure, do an analysis of um, who am I? Does God exist? Why is there anything at all? Why does evil exist? What is death? And um, all of these questions, what is this all about? And these questions, you could never know the ultimate answer to. Kurt Gödel proved this with his incompleteness theorem, that in an infinite universe, the human mind, which is limited, you could never get to the ultimate foundation of all of existence. So, given that, um, ev- I believe that everyone, and myself included, has to create their own reality and ultimate existence by appreciating every moment, every day, every moment as a sacrament, every day, uh, by the mere fact that it is limited, creates, gives it uh, special meaning. It's the only chance you'll have today to experience today. So it has ultimate, supreme significance because it's the only one of its kind. So every day is the Super Bowl. Um, so does God exist? We don't know the answer to that. No one ever will. Um, so I've gone through a series of questions, and an important one that I've mentioned is, why does evil exist? Why is there suffering? Why do people um, get diabetes and cancer and die horrific deaths and car crashes and die in a house fire and all the suffering that occurs? So it appears that everything is this grand accident. Um, Yet everybody would like there to be a God in a perfect universe and so forth, but we don't know, or we don't have the answers to that, and the life, or the world, more seems just absurd, and there's these um, laws to the universe that we live in, but it's really just this absurd, random, grand accident. So, uh, what should we seek on a daily basis? Well, freedom is through our minds, we have freedom to live our lives and believe what we want to a certain extent. Our lives are, our minds are limited. Our lives are limited. We're constricted by our minds and the laws within the universe. But to a certain extent, you do have a free will to do whatever you want each and every day. Um, so what this is all about is seeking this overman state of existence. Now, for me, I've written 5 books. I have an awesome job. I make a lot of money. Everything is very comfortable, and I have instances when I write my books or do certain things that I experience this type state of nirvana where, similar to climbing Mount Everest or these fantastic things, um, and everybody has their own things that are within their lives. You have glimpses of these little lightning strikes where everything is awesome. So you try to make your life uh, as, as comfortable and as exciting and wonderful as possible. So, and you try to attain this state of enlightenment. Well, there's no ultimate answer to this. Everybody just chooses whatever that path is going to be for yourself. And I've been thinking about this idea of this self actualization, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Once you have those lower level basic needs like food, shelter, money, whatever, all those on that pyramid, whatever, once you have all those fulfilled, then you can get to this point of self actualization where you actually become your highest self, your most creative, most wonderful, greatest self. And again, for me, the glass bead game, this overman state is truly for myself, and really that's all anybody can do. Whether that be through altruism or love or doing good deeds for others or writing music or writing books or literally climbing Mount Everest or whatever uh, those things might be, or being successful in business or whatever those types of things are, that you can become self actualized in what you envision as your highest self. So that's what this is all about. Um, and I'm just going to go through these bullet points, and it's just no order, just random. Um, John Keats stated that beauty is truth, truth, beauty. In a way, there is no overall overriding truth to the universe. It's just this random grand accident. There's laws within our universe, um, such as gravity, and the sun comes up every day, and there's cause and effect rules. But there's also evilness and suffering and limited, uh, just being limited. Period is possibly a form of evil. And so John Keats came up with beauty as truth, and I just like that as something that overcomes existence, as Nietzsche would say. It breaks out of the bounds of randomness and mundaneness and evil and suffering. Uh, Leo Buscaglia stated that love is the only answer to existence. There's really a lot of truth to that. That's what makes life fantastic, and um, sharing it with other people, people that are close with you. We talked about truth, possibly that there is no ultimate truth to the universe, to an infinite universe. An ultimate truth in itself might be a limit. So there may just not be an ultimate truth um, to the universe. It may be either what you make out of it through your mind. Quantum mechanics talks about how we collapse a wave function and we create reality through the double slit experiment. It proved the special significance of the mind and how the mind has emerged. And it's going to be interesting in the next 100, 200 years where people can take this mind to. Can we get away from war and nuclear war and tragedies and death, even possibly through the singularity, this explosion of where uh, the mind and humans are hitting in the next 100 to 1,000 years. Um, Possibly even through that, you may attain immortality. Um, Everybody that's lived has died, so their immortality has been a nothingness upon death. So you were a nothing before you were born. You've experienced this 80 years on Earth, and then you become a nothing again. So possibly there's this eternal recurrence where you're on and off. Um, I made these symbols here, these three pictures, which we've talked about before. We view the world in discrete ways so that all of our concepts, everything is limited. Here's a concept, 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 concept. We view the world in a discrete way. There is no continuity, true continuity in the universe. Everything is discrete, much like a movie screen is put together with still shots, and that creates motion. Everything is discrete in our world. Um, So you get into the self glorification of the self, um, your highest self, whatever that may be. For me, again, it's writing books and glorification of my artistic self and my business self and uh, whatever I choose to do on a daily basis. Um, the more you can make every day the Super Bowl is the way to go. Um, Time and space, everything, starting with the Big Bang, that created time and space. And that is a discreteness, that everything with a beginning has discrete steps to it. And there's a beginning and there's an end to your life and possibly to this universe, this perceived universe. Um, so everything is limited and discrete within our realm of understanding of reality. Um, so it is being and time, um, like Heidegger stated, that everything Dasein, everything you experience as a self is in space and time. These Going back to these pictures again, there's just some odd paradoxes. If you picture this as the universe, this is everything. What is the universe sitting in? Does it just go on forever? Well, we know in our reality that from the Big Bang, we know that this is limited. There's a certain amount of bits in the universe. Scientists have proved this, that our universe is limited. So it's sitting in this nothingness. Here's the something, here's the nothingness out there. So the only way that we can conceive of the universe is as a discrete something. So um, this line here depicting time, infinite amount of time, our reality is there's really a starting point at the Big Bang, and it's just going out this way. Um, but does it really go back in time forever? Well, in a sense, yes, it does. Everything has existed forever, as Parmenides stated. Nothing can come from nothing. So there's always just this one state of being, this eternal now. Um, but uh, that uh, concept is a limit in itself. It it time really doesn't exist other than in your mind. So much think of it this way: the same way as before you were born, time and space didn't exist in your own reality. When you die, time and space does not exist. Time exists only in this uh, 80 years while you're alive. That's the only time that time and space exist in this discrete uh, understanding of reality. So that's kind of hard to grasp um, when you start getting into infinity and all of Zeno's paradoxes and what George Cantor did with infinity. And um, you try to get to the foundation of all this. Euclid's first um, axiom is a point is that which has no extension. How does a line become a line if the most fundamental unit is a nothing, that which has no extension? So there's built into our understanding of the universe is paradox, real paradoxes. And Immanuel Kant came up with four real paradoxes um, of space and time, whether it was discrete or continuous, whether God existed or not, whether there was freedom or determinism. Um, and there's some real paradoxes to the universe that you can never get to the bottom of. Um, but I guess if you want to have a contemplative life that I've chosen in metaphysics and philosophy, but at the end of the day, you really need to sweep that aside and forget all of that and just focus on the moment, because you come to the realization that there are no answers to any of those paradoxes, such as does God exist? Why is there anything at all? Why does evil exist? You have to put that aside. What is death? You have to put all of that aside and forget all of that and just enjoy every single moment. Um, so, destiny. As an overman, as a glass bead game player, as a human being, what is your destiny going to be? What is your highest state that you can attain? What is your vision for the next 5, 10, 20, 100 years, or whatever it may be? Um, what would your glass bead game look like? I am trying to think what mine would look like, or on a daily basis, what it uh, what it should look like, so that I experience life to the fullest, and everybody should do that. Creativity is such an important part of that. Every single day is a creative work of art that you create and experience, whether you're observing it or actually creating this beautiful new day. Now, there could be terrible days. There could be absolutely terrible days. You could find out you have cancer tomorrow. Um, but you have to forget all of that and focus completely on the good. And while you can experience life without suffering, all of the beautiful things in life. So this is the metaphysics of of reality. Uh, in one sense, there's nothing at the foundation. It's kind of like a nihilistic view that there's nothing there. Um, and I don't mean nothing in a bad sense necessarily, or a mystical sense. When you talk about infinity, there's this indescribable nature to infinity, and that in itself has a nothingness to it, because you can't describe infinity, the nature of God or the nature of being and existence. Um, Gödel or Douglas Hofstadter came up with this idea of self-creating loop, and Gödel, Escher, Bach, that we perceive ourselves, we create ourselves, every single day, much as you're looking into an infinite mirror back and forth, two mirrors looking at each other. We talked about evil and imperfection. We live in an imperfect world. Everything, Plato talked about this. He had his Platonic forms, perfect forms exist in this transcendent state. In our world, um, everything is imperfect. All mathematics really doesn't fit together like a perfect puzzle. Think of pi, how it's a completely repeating number, infinite repeating number. Our universe really doesn't fit together perfectly if you really get into mathematics and how Zeno's paradoxes all arise, where you can't reach a stationary or moving point, or paradoxes like the arrow paradox, there, where a moving arrow at any one point in time is stationary. Um, so all of those paradoxes arise because of what's called this infinite regress, and you can never get to the bottom of any solution, not the ultimate truth. You can never get to it. You're always an infinite amount of distance away, no matter how small of a distance away. You're relatively um, an infinite amount of distance away. But in our world, we just say, in our discrete world, that when we jump over all these little infinities in between our discrete units of space time, we just ignore all of those little infinities because they're insignificant to the world that we live in. So, questions like eternity, what is our ultimate um, destiny and eternity? Well, it appears that when you die, it'll just be a blank nothingness. That is, if there is an ultimate truth, possibly that is your ultimate destiny. That is the ultimate possible perfection of your existence. The overriding truth that's going to come over the top of all of this is that we're not going to be able to experience this someday. So this that it is limited makes, again, every single day a sacrament that needs to be pursued and enjoyed to its highest level. So that's just this form of nihilism. It that gets a negative connotation, but I've kind of turned it around and say, well, yeah, if there is this nihilistic view of the universe, and if you really dig into it, there's a lot of truth to that. But just flip it around and use it in a positive sense to make every day and every moment a sacrament. Um, Idealism, um, the George Berkeley's, the Descartes, I think I, therefore I am, that everything exists in the mind. So creating your ultimate reality to its highest extent. And really, if you get into that, George Berkeley and to be is to be perceived, and quantum mechanics, everything really is experienced in the mind. Without the mind, again, picture before your birth, everything was unperceived in your mind. When you come into existence, everything exists within your mind. So when you lose your mind, all space, all time, all experience, all space time reality will disappear. Realism, I've included a lot of people in the glass bead game, the realists, especially Ayn Rand. Um, Her objectivism, her self interest, her ideas of creating an ultimate existence through realistic methods, self um, um, by being a productive member in society. But I've changed it a little bit in be productive for whatever you think your highest overman is. She would say, I think, for the good of all society in a way through her self interest. She may or may not say that. Her bottom line was whatever your self interest is. And that, I think there's a lot of truth to that. Um, when you get into studies of infinity and nothingness, and mathematics has a lot to do in the way I think. These little pictures kind of um, explain a lot about the universe, just these couple of little pictures. And just to name again some of my top Glass Bead Game members: Parmenides, Plato, Hess, Nietzsche, Alan Watts, Leo Buscaglia, Gandhi, Berkeley, Zeno, Michelangelo, Beethoven, Euclid, Cantor, Gödel, Rand, Democritus, Heraclitus, I guess, and Anaxagoras, who stated everything is in everything, another paradox, kind of like a holism. Schrodinger's cats, Heisenberg's uncertainty, Einstein, everything is relative, Heidegger, being in time, Sartre, being in nothingness, Hofstadter, Gödel, Escher, Bach, Andre Gregory, The Secret Sanctuaries of the Glass Bead Game. He had his movie, My Dinner with Andre. F.H. Bradley, viewing the world as absolute truth, um, without it being relative. Kant with his antimities, paradoxes. Descartes, Leibniz, his monads, again, the dimensionless units of our being, that were unique and unique to yourself, what he came up with. Raphael, the School of Athens. Van Gogh, who was too good for this world. Escher, how an infinite amount of images can exist in a finite image. And then Mozart, again, just the beauty of his um, music, obviously, is in the Glass Bead Game. So this is the grand video again. I don't know if I need to really make any others. I may be shutting down everything. I may go on, but really, um, this is the grand video, the Glass Bead Game, pursuing life to its highest, and almost being um, uh, cocky about it, that you can attain for yourself your highest state of overman, and what other people think of it is not important. Just for yourself, as long as you understand it and you take it to this highest creative self, this state of overman is the ultimate state of existence.